Hi, today I'm going to talk about poverty. What is poverty? Poverty is a complex problem with many aspects, phases, and causes. It is a state or condition in which a person or community lacks the financial resources and essentials for a minimum standard of living. Poverty-stricken people and families might go without proper housing, clean water, healthy food, and medical attention. Poverty is a difficult cycle to break, and often passed from one generation to the next. Typical consequences of poverty include alcohol and substance abuse, less access to education, poor housing and living conditions, and increased levels of disease. Heightened poverty is likely to cause increased tension in society as inequality increases. These issues often lead to rising crime rates in communities affected by poverty. What are the causes of poverty? More than 10% of the world's population lives in extreme poverty. Some of the top reasons why. Number 1. People who live in poverty have inadequate access to clean water and nutritious food. Therefore, they simply don't have the strength and energy needed to work. Even if clean water sources are available, they're often located far from poor rural communities, thus becoming a reason why they find it hard to escape extreme poverty. Number 2. They have little or no access to livelihoods or jobs. Without a job or a way to make money, people will face poverty. That just isn't true, particularly in developing and rural parts of the world. The decreasing access to productive land, often due to conflict, overpopulation or climate change, and excessive utilization of resources like fish or minerals, is putting increasing pressure on many traditional livelihoods. Number 3. Conflict, violence, and inequality. These factors can cause poverty in several ways, such as a country after large-scale protracted violence that can grind society to a halt, destroy infrastructure, and cause people to flee, forcing families to sell or leave behind all their assets. Women often bear the brunt of conflict. During periods of violence, female-headed households become very common. And because women often have difficulty getting well-paying jobs and are typically excluded from community decision-making, their families are particularly vulnerable. But even small bouts of violence can have huge impacts on communities that are already struggling. For example, if farmers are worried about their crops being stolen, they won't invest in planting. Women are particularly vulnerable in these kind of conflicts, as they often become the targets of sexual violence while fetching water or while working alone in the fields. There are many different types of inequality in the world, from economic to social inequalities, but it generally means the same thing: unequal or no access to the resources needed to keep or lift a family out of poverty. And finally, poor education. Not every person without an education is living in extreme poverty, but most of the extremely poor don't have an education because there's a lot of barriers stopping children from going to school. Many families can't afford to send their children to school and need them to work. What can be done to alleviate poverty? It is possible for countries to dramatically cut poverty, and one of the things that can be done to reduce it are increasing employment and investments in vital services such as schools, childcare, and elder care to generate both public benefits and jobs. Supporting pay equity. Closing the gender wage gap would cut poverty in half for working women and their families. And investing in affordable, high-quality childcare and early education. UNESCO estimates that 171 million people could be lifted out of extreme poverty if they left school with basic reading skills. And with even more education, world poverty could be cut in half. There's nothing inevitable about poverty. We just need to build the political will to enact the policies that will increase economic security, expand opportunities, and grow the middle class.